and welcome to another episode of Cult Life with me, Robin Jackson. In publications directed to the public, Watchtower claims not to judge homosexuals, yet continues to release articles that are disparaging of gay people and anyone supporting gay people. Watchtower labels homosexuality as one of the most vile sins, and practicing homosexuals will be destroyed at Armageddon. It has written that masturbation can lead to becoming homosexual, and homosexuality is a desire that can be overcome. Clever use of images convey a message not always put into writing. A person that engages in same-sex sexual relations can be disfellowshipped. However, a celibate homosexual can remain as a Jehovah's Witness. Watchtower does not accept that people are born homosexual and teaches that homosexual desires are a choice that are developed, such as through masturbation, and can be overcome. In 2016, Watchtower released an awake stating that Jehovah's Witnesses are not prejudiced against homosexuals, even though they believe it is against the Bible code. The article said, although the Bible condemns homosexual acts, it does not encourage prejudice, hate crimes, or any other kind of mistreatment of homosexuals. Jehovah's Witnesses choose to live by the moral code set forth in the Bible. They do not approve of actions that the Bible prohibits, but they neither mock nor mistreat people whose practices differ from their own. Whilst this article appears to present Watchtower's view of same-sex relations in a balanced and tolerant manner, it is not in harmony with what has appeared for many decades within the pages of the Watchtower, nor align with how homosexuals are treated within the congregations, and not how the governing body spews their disdain for homosexuals on JW broadcasting.
There will be many others who will come back who will have to abandon their former way of life. I was thinking, as an example, a homosexual. Now, this former homosexual comes back in the resurrection, and he really thought, and he was taught, and he came to believe that God accepted him with that lifestyle. But now he's going to learn about Jehovah's moral standards, and he's going to learn that Jehovah will not lower his standard to accommodate us. We have to come up to Jehovah's standard. Will he change? Will he adjust? It'll be up to him. But you, brothers and sisters, will help such ones to enjoy life eternal. All must learn to walk in Jehovah's righteous ways and willingly choose to do so. But now, what if someone refuses to make the necessary changes? Well, the Watchtower commented on that. It said, after being given ample time, maybe even 100 years, to seek God, some will show that they refuse to practice righteousness. Justly, they will lose life in the new world, as we can see from Isaiah 65, verse 12, which says, and the sinner will be cursed, even though he is 100 years of age.
Watchtower describes homosexuality as abhorrent, sexually degrading, unnatural, sordid, an unnatural sexual perversion. There are many other adjectives that they use: sick and perverted, gruesome, violent, and downright sadistic, disgraceful sexual appetites, obscene, worthy of the death penalty. These are all descriptions in their publications, the Awake publication and the Watchtower publication. These descriptions are not from another time, when people in general were less sensitive to the harm their words could cause others. They are terms that continue to be used in Watchtower publications. The 2020 Elders Manual labels homosexual pornography as abhorrent, grouping it with rape, bestiality, and child pornography. It reads, such abhorrent forms of pornography include homosexuality, sex between those of the same gender, group sex, bestiality, sadistic torture, bondage, gang rape, the brutalizing of women, or child pornography. It is equally wrong for a man or a woman to watch two women engaged in homosexual activity as it is for a man or woman to watch two men engaged in homosexual activity. Watchtower comments show an exasperating ignorance about homosexuality, describing it as behavior that is a choice that is developed or a practice that is not part of who a person is. This can be seen either subtly or directly in the following comments. Watchtower 2014, April 15 says, reports from various countries indicate that living apart from a mate or children in order to work abroad is a factor that for some has contributed to serious problems. These include infidelity on the part of one or both mates, homosexuality, or incest. Whilst the Awake, 8th of February 1995 says, why do I have these feelings? Admits genes and hormones may play some role. It dismisses the idea that homosexuals are born that way and that sexual orientation is unchangeable. It claims that studies of identical twins show when one identical twin is gay, the other is also gay half the time. Then uses this to show genetics are not a factor, as both should be gay all the time. Very flawed reasoning. It says, some experts also feel the anti-male propaganda promoted by feminists has contributed to the rise of lesbianism. And as always, who these experts is not revealed. Their sources are never quoted in order for anybody to fact check. Then there is this quote from the book Your Youth Getting the Best Out of It on page 39. It says, in fact, masturbation can lead to homosexuality. In such instances, the person not satisfied with his lonely sexual activity seeks a partner for mutual sex play. This happens much more frequently than you may realize. Contrary to what many persons think, homosexuals are not born that way, but this homosexual behavior is learned. And often a person gets started when very young by playing with another's private parts, sexual parts, and then engaging in homosexual acts. It is incredibly disingenuous for Watchtower to put forward a concept where it is impossible to find any meaningful correlation to the claim that masturbation leads to homosexuality. Actually, I think the majority of men and women would claim otherwise. And then there's this from Toni Morris.
When what was termed as the new morality became popular over 50 years ago, which included sexual relations among young ones, we condemned such behavior based on the Bible's unerring and timeless principles. As the awareness of child abuse became more and more known, we published a landmark Awake magazine over 30 years ago. It was the issue of June 22nd, 1982. There are 5 article titles that nailed the subject in a very straightforward manner. The first article was entitled, The New Morality. And then, Chickens and Hawks was the second article. It warned about homosexual men who prey on and advocate the right to use boys for sex. Shame on them. The next article, Baby Pros and Kiddie Porn, condemned prostitute rings that employed small girls in an array of abuse. Then rape at home, no further explanation needed on that. And finally, the article, To End Child Abuse. I remember this magazine well, since I had 2 boys who were in elementary school at the time. And again, remember that the world in general was still somewhat naive about the magnitude of this issue and the gravity of the problem. I read the 5 articles. Then I looked at my 2 boys and I said a prayer to Jehovah, thanking him for moving the organization to be so proactive in trying to help parents to protect their young ones from the plague of the new morality and the abuse of children. This issue has been straightforwardly addressed in print many times since then.
With the governing body showing such poor understanding of child abuse, it is little wonder that they have come under a barrage of criticism globally for their flawed policies. Morris validated the idea that homosexuals are perpetrators of child abuse. The article that Toni mentions, Chickens and Hawks, used a discussion of men who prey on young boys to denounce the evil of homosexuality. The homosexuals are pushing for changing the laws to lower the age of consent and to legalize sex between adults and children. They are fighting for children's rights, they say, and make themselves out to be crusaders. Children's rights to be abused, prostituted, sodomized? Their proclaimed concern for children's rights is a cover-up for men whose only interest is gratification of their own sexual perversion. When the children become a little older, these loving adults dump them back on the streets and pick up new victims. Willing or not, children at these tender ages are unable to understand the choice they are making or to foresee the consequences. They are victims. They are vulnerable. Misguidedly, they seek affection from a homosexual and are psychologically devastated when they are cast off. Some are murdered. One homosexual man killed 33 boys and buried them under his house. Where's all that supposedly great love gone? Says the article. This dishonest portrayal is deplorable, as abuse of children is not linked in any way to homosexuality. This article was inspired by North American Man-Boy Love Association, a pedophile organization which started in 1978 and subject of the movie Chicken Hawk, Men Who Love Boys. Your Wake presents this group as representative of homosexuals, when in fact they were condemned and forbidden from inclusion in the gay rights movement. The article shows Watchtower's ignorance on a very important topic, that is that homosexuality is not connected with pedophilia. In addition, there's Tony's talks about fashion and homosexuality, the infamous tight pants talks.
Now, I have to mention this, something I've observed. I see it in the airports, but whirly women, okay, this is what they do. And it's all deteriorating. But sometimes, even some of our sisters now, and I suppose, and they're probably really lovers of God and such, but you're not thinking of this verse. And what it is this Spanx, this skin-tight stuff they wear. Now, are any sisters wearing it in the ministry? No. I can't say I've ever seen that. But when they exercise, they leave their home and they're jogging in this stuff. Look at the verse. Is that appropriate? To wear skin-tight Spanx or whatever they call it, that's not modest, and it's certainly not sound of mind. It's really not appropriate. There's nothing else to say about it. Now, you want to be in your home or your room and wear that stuff, that's your business. But don't go out in public like that and say you worship the true God. I'm just trying to stay in shape. Inappropriate. And the other one that needs addressing is for these young fellas, because the older ones aren't doing much of it, thankfully. It's the metrosexual look. We've addressed that in the past. We've said things about it. But what's happened now, it's really caught on more. Now, the metrosexual, that's the tight suit jacket and the tight pants, better known as tight pants. And they are tight, I mean tight, all the way down to the ankles. And that is not modest, brothers. No. It's not appropriate. It's not sound of mind. And I was proud of one circuit overseer who told me this past summer at one of the international conventions, because he brought it up, one of these fellas shows up for his circuit overseer visit, and he wants to go out to ministry, work with him, door to door, and he's wearing tight pants. And the circuit overseer was man enough, spiritual man enough to say, no, I'm not going door to door with you. Not with that dress on. Inappropriate. So a lot to think about, and you elders out there listening in, and be kind now. We always want to try to imitate Christ Jesus. You be spiritual man enough to tell these young fellas, you don't go out in the ministry looking like that. Not in this organization. And frankly, I have asked sister after sister, what do you think of this? Do you find that appealing, attractive? I'm just curious, because I'm not a woman. And you know what? I've not met one yet that thought they looked good. But like I've been telling others, and this is a fact, the homosexuals that are designing these clothes, they like you in tight pants. That's who likes it, not spiritual people. So this is something to consider with dress and grooming. Is it appropriate? Is it modest? Does it display soundness of mind? If not, do something about it.
Since Anthony Morris's appointment to the governing body in 2005, he has made a number of comments regarding homosexuals and gay fashion influence in his public talks and in his JW broadcast videos. The control of Watchtower leaders knows no bounds and infiltrates into every aspect of their followers' lives. And of course, there's the indoctrination of children and teaching them a misguided view of human nature.
Look, Mom. I drew our family in school today.
Oh, wow.
I didn't have time to finish Caleb's face. Carrie drew two mommies. She told me they're married to each other. My teacher says that all that matters is that people love each other and that they're happy.
Well, people have their own ideas about what is right and wrong. But what matters is how Jehovah feels. He wants us to be happy, and he knows how we can be happiest. That's why he invented marriage the way he did.
You mean one man and one woman?
Exactly. Look at Genesis 1:27. Jehovah created Adam and Eve, male and female. Then in Genesis 2:24, he said that a man will stick to his wife. Later, Jesus said the same thing. Jehovah's standards haven't changed. It's kind of like going on an airplane. What would happen if someone wanted to bring something on the plane that wasn't allowed?
They couldn't go on their trip.
Right. It's the same with Jehovah. He wants us to be his friend and live in paradise forever. But we have to follow his standards to get there. At Matthew 7:13 and 14, it talks about the road leading to paradise. To get there, Jehovah says we have to leave some things behind. That means anything Jehovah doesn't approve of.
But I want everyone to get to paradise.
So does Jehovah. And you know what? People can change. That's why we share his message. So, what can you say to Carrie?
Well, I could tell her about the paradise. I could tell her about the animals and the resurrection.
That's awesome! Let's practice.
It is the witness mother that provides an inappropriate lesson when she tells Sophia that people can change. In addition to the issues of homophobia is the message that Sophia has to judge her school friend Carrie as unwelcome in the new system and that Carrie and her parents will shortly die at Armageddon unless they convert to Sophia's belief system. Sophia's mother sets up a practice session to teach Sophia what to tell Carrie about the paradise and presumably how to be saved. The underlying message is that Sophia should tell Carrie that the only way she can enjoy living forever in paradise is to reject homosexuality and same-sex marriage, putting Carrie in an impossible situation of knowing that Sophia is critical of her family arrangement and that she will die at Armageddon if she does not reject her gay parents' lifestyle. Is it appropriate for a young child to try and convince a friend that her parents are sinners, particularly when that child has no option but to live with them? Sophia is told that gaining access to paradise is like checking into a plane. A person that carries an item that wasn't allowed on the airplane can't go on that trip. This is a poor illustration as there is no comparison between discarding unacceptable baggage, such as aerosol deodorants, toxic chemicals, and being forced to change your identity. The reasoning is absolutely flawed. The recent documentaries and exposés that have been aired in recent weeks, like the Vice documentary Crusaders and the Australian Four Corners expose, proves how devastating and destructive the Watchtower's views are to homosexual members. However, this extends to other fundamentalist religious organizations as well. And the question I always used to ask myself when it came to the view that homosexuality is a choice and a lifestyle that is practiced is why would anyone willfully and deliberately choose a lifestyle that they know will be frowned upon and would lead to them being ostracized? In my search for a better understanding of the science behind sexual orientation, I came across a book called Gay, Straight, and the Reason Why: The Science of Sexual Orientation by Simon LeVay. He's a neuroscientist and he summarizes a wealth of scientific evidence that points to one inescapable conclusion. Sexual orientation results primarily from an interaction between genes, sex hormones, and the cells of the developing body and brain. I'll post an affiliate link to the book in the notes below, so you're interested in buying this book. That's the show for today. Don't forget to leave your comments. I love reading them and it keeps the conversation going as well. And don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, bye for now.